Hi, my name is Rich Klein of Rich Klein Crisis Management. It's Friday, January 3rd, 2025. Happy New Year. The beginning of each year is an ideal time for executives to begin thinking about and planning for the worst. I'm talking about crisis management and crisis communications planning because a crisis can strike at any time during the year, anywhere. What I'd like to do in this short video is to begin helping you to identify the most serious crisis situations that every organization must pay attention to, and also to give you some tips about how to create holding statements and messages around each of these crisis scenarios. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to identify these crisis situations that are most serious. In no particular order, they are as follows. Terrorism, like we saw tragically just a few nights ago in New Orleans. Workplace violence. Natural and man-made disasters such as floods, fires, and chemical spills. Product recalls. Virus outbreaks, including foodborne illnesses. The arrest of an executive or employee on serious charges. High-profile lawsuits alleging workplace discrimination or sexual harassment. And congressional investigations such as what we've seen over the past year in Congress. You get the picture? These are the kinds of high-profile crisis situations that every organization has to be aware of. Now, of course, in your industry, in your field, you're going to have another set of crisis situations that you are concerned about. So don't leave those off the list. And remember, if one of your competitors is hit by a crisis, it's very likely that crisis could filter down to your company or organization as well. So always be prepared for that. So now that you've identified the crisis situations, by the way, what I failed to mention earlier is it's really important at the beginning of each year, you get your leadership team into that conference room for a couple of hours to brainstorm about the kinds of crisis situations you could face. I urge you to do that at least once a year, hopefully a little more, but certainly at the beginning of each year, make this a priority. Okay, so now that you have these crisis situations identified, the next step is to create sharp messaging around each of these crisis scenarios. Let's take the example of workplace violence. So in the immediate aftermath of such an incident, you want to get a short statement out to the public, maybe 2 or 3 sentences only, that accomplishes the following. Number one, that you've expressed your condolences if there were victims, if people died, if there were serious injuries, and your empathy with the people affected by the crisis. Number two, you want to make sure that people know you are cooperating fully in the investigation that's being led by law enforcement. So we're talking about 2 or 3 sentences initially in that holding statement. And by the way, this model works for all the crisis situations I just listed for you. Well, after you've issued this initial fact-based crisis statement, the 2 or 3 sentences I mentioned earlier, the next step is to spend the next few hours and days updating the public about the crisis. So, for example, as new fact-based information comes in, you can then update that initial statement, either append it to the initial statement or issue another one. But certainly, as we know on the internet, it's done all the time. So, for example, you may learn that a person of interest who may have committed the crime has been brought in for questioning. You may learn that the suspect has been arrested. You may also add to this updated news release, this updated press statement, that a certain number of victims experienced certain kinds of injuries and were brought to such and such a hospital. So the more that you could update the public about the crisis, the more that people are going to believe you care and that you're in control. So I hope you found this information helpful as a starting point in exploring the kinds of crisis situations you could face. Make 2025 the year that you take action to begin addressing these issues. If you'd like some more information, please visit richkleincrisis.com. And in addition, from 2012 through 2018, I was the founder and host of something called The Crisis Show on YouTube. There, you will find more than 100 episodes in which myself and many other distinguished guests analyzed the breaking crisis news of the week. And we talked about what leaders did right and what they did wrong with crisis management and crisis communications. And we pulled no punches. So, if you like more personalized, more customized help with your own crisis management and crisis communications planning and execution, please get in touch with me directly, rich@richkleincrisis.com. And finally, please leave comments below and let me know what you think about this content. Thanks for watching. Be safe and Happy New Year.